Hello learners, this is Excel with Habeeba. We are discussing the topic today under Sociological Foundation of Education, that is Education and Democracy. Now the central point of the democratic philosophy of education can be best understood from its etymological derivation, that is demos, which means the people, and kratis, which means power. Thus, the combination of these two Greek words means rule by the people. Now, the socialization of the younger generation is education. Now, let's understand these two together in the further slides. Before that, let's understand in detail about democracy. Democracy refers both to a political system and a political aspiration. For a political system, it refers to the fact that people themselves rule in some sense. As an aspiration, it stands for the desire to depend and extend the ideals of self-government. So, democracy refers not only to a system of government, but also to general way of life itself. It has ethical, political, social and economic aspects. Now, let's understand this from a very important and popular definition given by Abraham Lincoln. Democracy is the government of the people, by the people and for the people. That means it's a form of government in which supreme power is vested in the people and exercised by them or indirectly through a system of representation, usually involving periodic free elections. Now, let's understand some of the ethical dimensions of democratic education here. Firstly, dignity of the individual. That means the individual must be respected. It means treating an individual as an end, promoting his best development here. Individual should have full play for all his faculties, exception so far as they do not clash with the interest of others. Secondly, equalitarianism. This is a very important ism of democracy, envisages equal opportunities to every member of the society for realizing and enjoying his or her own capacity and aptitudes. Every child has a fair chance to take advantage of the opportunists. That means every child will be given all the education from the childhood itself, how to become a good citizen. That is, children are the future citizens, so they will be trained. Nextly, third one, brotherhood. If all the members of the society realize that they are the creations of one God, they are sure to inculcate democratic trends in them. Justice, love and fairness and equity are the fruits of prosperity. So, unless an individual gets an idea that he belongs to humanity, he cannot be democratic. The realization of brotherhood of man and fatherhood of God is the sheet anchor of democracy. Next one, the fourth one is freedom. One great essence of democracy is freedom. Freedom for action, speech and movement. It is in the very atmosphere of a freedom that one gets the stimulus to express him and to realize his full potentialities. Man loves freedom. The freedom means liberty in the context of existing rules and regulations of the society. Now, the next one, fifth one is faith in the educability of man. That means democracy prospers only when we believe that every man is educable. That means the lower animals like horse and dog are trained, not educated. That means they do not assign themselves any goals to be reached. The man is endowed with intelligence, creativity, dimension and power of discrimination. So, it is therefore that man differs from lower animal and is educable, while the lower animal is trainable. Man has history, literature, science and the arts of civilization, while the lower animals do not have. So, this is faith in the educability of man. Then the fifth one is cooperation of all individuals. That is, another essence of democracy is that all individuals must cooperate. Prosperity and progress lies in cooperation rather than in cutthroat competition. Next one, seventh one is appreciation of contribution of individuals of the group welfare. That means unless the contributions of individuals are appreciated, the contributions for the individuals are not possible for doing the general good. That should be, humanity is for doing general good. If the present age claims conquest of distance, space, time, labor and disease, it is due to exertions of the individuals who, imbued with the spirit of service, dedicated their lives to find ways and means to increase the happiness of the humanity. If everyone makes the contributions according to his abilities and capabilities, the society will be the happiest society. So, nextly, character and intelligence to form judgments. For the working and success of democracy, character of an individual is supreme and fundamental. The real strength of democracy lies in the individual and national character. It is the character of a person that gives him the power of judgment and discriminating the right from wrong, obviously. Then good citizenship. This is very important. In democracy, effective participation in civic life is an asset. A person who has got a progressive outlook and understanding the quality of recognizing leadership will always advocate democratic ideals of life. Good citizenship means the establishment of balance between rights and duties. So, these are the ethical dimensions of democratic education. Now, democracy and education. Democratic education can generally be defined as the cultivation of virtues, knowledge and skills necessary for political participation, given by Gutman in the year 1987. In addition to that, Clark suggested that democratic education must impart to students a generosity of spirit and commitment to the well-being of their society. Now, let's see the objectives of democratic education here. Firstly, dignity and worth. That means this implies not only self-regard or the attitude of valuing one's liberty, but also recognizing the right of the other people to value their dignity and worth. Secondly, to the principle of human equality and brotherhood. That is very important objective. Nextly, to a belief that political, social and economic problems are best solved through non-violent and peaceful methods like arguments, discussion, negotiations and persuasions instead of violent, antisocial, corrupt and treacherous method. So, that's the very important objective again. Nextly, to the ideal of honesty and fair play in the solution of social problems and to develop a scientific attitude of mind which is characterized by balance of temper, suspended judgment, etc. The next objective, to the idea of respect for and appreciation of talent, training, character and excellence in all fields of social endeavor. Next objective, to the obligation and right to work. Then to duly constituted authority, may it be in social, political, professional or any other walk of life. Lastly, to the obligation to the socially sensitive and informed, that is continuously educate itself. So, these are the objectives of democratic education. Now, educating for democracy. The philosophy of the life of the people can be made through democratic education. The trend of democracy in our culture is reflected in the present system of education in the following ways. Let's see what are those ways. Number one, equalization of educational opportunity. Second, universal and compulsory education. Third, provision of adult education. Fourth, child-centered education. Fifth, methods of teaching. Sixth, social activities. Seventh, students' union. Then eighth, tolerance. Ninth, to develop love for the country. 10th, physical health of the children. 11th, cooperation between different agencies of education. 12th, understanding the value of dignity of labor, and lastly, academic freedom. So these are the important things for educating for democracy. Now let's see the need for education in democracy here. According to Aldous Huxley, if your aim is liberty and democracy, then you must teach people the arts of being free and of governing themselves. So in a democracy, the government is composed of the elected representatives of the people, and if the people are uneducated, they can never elect the right leaders and consequently can never create the right kind of government. It is impossible even to hope for democracy in the absence of education. The truth of matter is that education is prerequisite of democracy. Only after proper education should the citizen be invested with his democratic right. Another definition given by Fitch here, the German philosopher has commented, only the nation which has first solved in actual practice the problem of educating perfect men will then solve the problem of the perfect state. Excellent definition here. Educated people only can solve the matters of the state. So education is absolutely necessary for establishing a democratic society. Here Dewey has firmly said that democracy is inconceivable without education, because education can generate and install the quality which demands a prerequisite. Now, educational need in modern democratic India, let's see here. A national system of education is always inspired by the social, political and economic conditions prevailing in the country. It implies mobility of students and teachers. It also implies the quality of education based on national heritage and national values. Nextly, need of the education must be in conformity with cherished national goals here. So, the Education Commission 1953, need of education here, what they mean is the first ever statement on aims and need of education for democratic India was made by the Secondary Education Commission in the report published in the year 1953. So, the commission stated that education which is national in character must develop in its citizen habits, attitudes and qualities of character and equip them to bear the burden of life in the changing economic structure. Nextly, development of democratic citizenship, that is, it is a challenging responsibility with the education to carefully train every citizen for democratic citizenship. Such training involves development of multi-sided qualities. Nextly, capacity for clear thinking, that is, a democratic citizen should have the understanding and the intellectual integrity to distinguish truth from falsehood and facts from propaganda. Education should train the young scholar to reject fanaticism and prejudices. Nextly, educational aims, let's see here. Education aim and need in modern democratic India must be in the context of our national system of education. The Secondary Education Commission made the first ever statement of educational aims for democratic India. Let's see what are they. Firstly, development of democratic citizenship, improvement of vocational efficiency, development of personality, education for leadership. That means the Kothari Commission in the year 1966 in its report observed that education must become a powerful instrument of social, economic and cultural transformation. For this purpose, the Commission suggested some objectives. What are those objectives? Increasing productivity, social and national integration, accelerating the process of modernization, developing social, moral and spiritual values. So these are the educational aims. Now implications of democracy for education and freedom. Let's see here one by one. Under democracy and aims of education, following are the aims of education in a democracy. Number one, training students in the art of living together, development of the capacity to think clearly, development of the capacity to receive new ideas, development of the ability to think rationally and scientifically, then development of tolerance, development of true patriotism, development of the qualities of leadership, improvement of the vocational efficiency, and then development of the creative energy of the students. Under the second one, democracy and educational administration, this implies principle of sharing responsibility, principle of equality, principle of freedom, principle of cooperation, principle of justice, principle of recognizing the individual worth, principle of leadership. Then the third one, democracy and curriculum. This means education according to 4 A's, that is age, ability, aptitude and aim of the students. Secondly, emphasis of flexibility, that is thirdly, reconciliation to the needs of the society and the pupils. Then provision of core curriculum, group activities and group work. Then fourthly, democracy and methods of teaching, that is principle of sharing in planning, use of a variety of methods, group and project method. Then fifthly, democracy and discipline. Under that, discipline becomes self-discipline, no place for flogging, students' participation in running some of the affairs of the students, then student self-government. Then the sixth one is democracy and the teacher. That means teacher as a guide or helper, teacher as a friend, creation of a healthy environment, student-centered teaching learning process, teacher as a believer in the theory of impression rather than the repression. Then seventhly, democracy and mass education. That means education is the birthright of every individual. It implies universalization of elements, adult literacy or education, continuing education. These are all the important implications of democracy for education and freedom. Now, what is the role of teachers in a democracy? Teachers should be democratic and human in their outlook, more so in their behavior. They should be objective, that is free from prejudices and favoritism. That means they should not judge the students before itself and they should not show the favoritism. They have to encourage student initiatives. They have to allow children to put questions and discuss with them, rather stimulate them to do whatever they want. They should be discerning in the use of authority and in providing freedom to children. They are to create an atmosphere where children are self-disciplined. That means, let's see the basic objectives of education in a democratic country here. Number one, democracy as respect for dignity of the person, democracy as freedom, democracy as equality, democracy as sharing, a passion for social justice, tolerance to raise the intellectual cultural standards of education, development of love for the country. Education should develop love for work, then training in leadership. So, very important role is there to play for the teachers in a democracy. Next, functioning of the school on democratic principles and promotion of democratic outlook. So, for what are the important things? The important principles and considerations for the realization of democratic values are development of individuality, many-sided development of personality, individual differences of children should be taken care, provision of diversified courses, then respect for the individuality of the child, then freedom of the child is very, very important. Rich environment should be created, constructive and creative activities should be developed, social activities must be there, development of curiosity is also very important, manual work, learning by experience, atmosphere of love, no place for corporal punishment, curriculum in terms of activities should be developed, stress on cooperation, self-government, Role of the teacher should be very, very high and important. Center of community service, international understanding. So these are all the important things regarding education and democracy. If you like the class, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Thanks for your attention and time. Happy learning.